cry. Yeah, somebody done told you a lie. I've been crying over you all night. Who says a man don't cry?
So the moment I walked in here, the first thing that I think everybody's eyes are drawn to is the console. Probably because it's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
And this console, I have seen this only one other time before, and it was with your touring gear. And so my understanding is this is a live console of some kind, but you're using it in the studio because you're really familiar with it, or tell me the story behind this.
So this console went on the road with Lee every single night for many years. This was Wayne Pauley, who I keep his name and his number right here. He's another great mentor to me. He ran this console every night, front of house engineer for Lee, and COVID hit, and we stopped taking the semi out. So we couldn't take this out, and Lee had already purchased the console. We were building the studio, so we figured let's use it for the studio. So we repurposed it a little bit. It's not, it is not a traditional studio console. So we're having to use it a little differently, but it sounds amazing. And I'm able to use this entire half of the console as preamps, and processing, and then I use the right side for routing and bus mixes and such.
Are there any like modifications you have done to it or gonna do to it because it's not set up for a studio?
Yeah, so I don't know if you can hear it, but it's loud.
I can hear a fan back there.
The fan noise is loud, and that's just a part of it being a live console. So that's something we are going to have to remove the fans and come up with a different cooling, like a quieter cooling system. But that's part of the charm. It adds some analog sound.
Sure. So you are using it a lot. You're not.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So sometimes people have big consoles and they just leave them off and they don't use them, but you're
so for tracking, it's used primarily for tracking. So for vocals, because it's so loud and because even the power supply for it is pretty loud. That's off in the machine room over there. We don't use it for vocals, and we don't use it for mixing. But I will run stems through it to give it a little bit of that sound and then print that back into Pro Tools.
Sure.
But when it comes to like typical day-to-day work, I do keep it off, but tracking, it's like a must.
Love it though. It's got a great vibe to it. It looks, you look at it, it's an analog console.
Lights fading away in the Georgia sky.
So I did see some microphones back up on the wall when I walked in.
Yes.
What are those used for? They look familiar. What are those?
So these are the WA-14s.
Awesome.
And every room in the studio actually has a pair of room mics up here in the corners.
Yeah.
And so these were, when I was, working with Lee on the bus and they were writing songs, I would run a room mic. I would just have the room mic hit record in Pro Tools while they're going through stuff. So if something happens and they come up with a melody or a lyric that just a fleeting melody or lyric that they end up not remembering, I can go back and I have the room recorded and we can find that. And that's come in handy so many times. So we just built the room mics in. So during writing sessions, we run those guys and
just leave him on the whole day, basically. You never know when he's gonna something's gonna click, and then he's like, it's hard to recall though.
Yeah,
it's like on a whim.
It's impossible.
Yeah, so you got, it looks like rack gear built into this really cool mid table. I want to talk about some of the gear here. Is there gear racked in on the other side too?
So I call this the island, and this is my side. This is the engineer side, and then on the other side is the writing side. And do you want me to walk over and?
I'm kind of curious what you got racked over there.
So we got a couple empty slots right now because we have some amp heads being worked on, but this is for if electric guitarist is sitting here during a session, he can just plug into an amp head that's routing into the cabinet room, and he can control everything in here without having to, get up and walk in there.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
So it just gives me a ton of flexibility, and it makes it so if I have some weird curveball thrown at me, a session with a different setup, it just gives me more room to work with it.
Yeah, you quickly patch somebody back here into that, and then that's going to go around to the other side.
Yep. And then I can then patch it into my engineering side. Mr. Bill, actually, he's a neighbor. He actually grew up on this property as a kid, and he came over and introduced himself to Lee one day and just immediately became a family friend. And an incredibly kind, nice person that has so many stories, so much history about this place.
Yeah.
Long before Lee ever stepped foot on it. And he's become a very good friend to Lee. A friend that deeply cares about Lee, and Lee deeply cares about him. And Lee actually drew that picture of him one day. He went over and he sketched that of
Mr. Bill still with
Yep.
us?
He sure is. He's still fighting.
Awesome.
He's got a great spirit, and I've seen him around town, and everybody knows him and loves him.
That's awesome.
Who says a man on crime? Yeah, I've been crying in my bed, crying in my bed, crying on the pillow where you used to lay your head. I'ma cry myself to sleep tonight. Who says a man on crime?
All right, so this is the tracking room, and
Taller ceilings in here than I was expecting.
yeah, and it's a cool sounding room as well. Like it's not a huge room, but it still has that sound. It's got a unique sound that makes its way through the recordings. And
I like all the angles. You got angled ceilings, angles, no squared off.
That's Lee. That's Lee. He designed it, and I mean, like, literally drew it up, dimensions and everything. He designed it, and all the way to the placement of the baffling, the clouds, everything. And in fact, he and his dad and his brother ran all of the electrical.
Yeah, so you kind of say, like, if you want it done right, you just got to do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, and his dad is an electrician.
Yeah.
And he and Lee had some training as an electrician as well, so they were able to do it right.
Yeah. Well, I think my favorite thing about Lee, just in the time that we've known him the last few years, he's just like, he's a real dude.
Yeah.
He's just real. Like, obviously I'm in artist relations, so I talk to artists big and small and everybody in between, and there's just so many different personalities and stuff. But Lee has always been one of those that's just down to earth, humble dude. He'll talk to you just like, you've been friends forever. So it's just cool hearing that, like, he's getting his hands dirty on his own studio.
Yeah.
He's participating and not just hiring it all out and having it all done for him. He's just, a part of it, a part of the whole story. It's super cool. I love that about Lee. Well, tell me, you guys have had our gear for a while now.
Well, yes.
You've got a lot in here. And was that, did you put all this up because you knew we were going to come by?
No, this is typical. This is our,
Be straight.
This is my default patching of sessions.
Crying on the pillow where you used to lay your head. I'm a cry.
So tell me, why do you have these mics?
Well,
the CX12s on overheads.
You actually, when you guys had just hit the market, you actually had convinced me to get some, and I was having some issues with overheads, trying to find a good solution, and we got a pair of them, put them up, and immediately just smoothed everything out that I was having issues with. And so we have the CX12s up there.
I wish I remember which sales pitch I gave you that day so I could repeat it.
I know.
And give it to all my other artists.
No, we
'Cause it worked.
We love them. They went up and they've stayed up. I actually, interestingly enough, this is the WA84. I love this 84 on the top. It gives the snare body and really keeps the cymbals out of it. I don't know. It was kind of a surprise to me. I was just trying some things on the top and decided to try that one, and just ever since I've kept it, along with the 57.
Yeah, of course.
But
Always have to have space for the 57. What do you, it looks like you got, what do you like on those toms?
the 421s.
421s.
But actually going to your event last night and seeing how the toms were mic'd up with the WA-14s, I'm going to try that next.
Yeah.
Because toms are something that they're definitely not a strength in my recordings right now. Not a weakness, but they're
Room for improvement.
Definitely not a strength.
Yeah.
And those 14s might really bring them to life.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the 14s to drummers for their toms. I also saw a lot of the juniors for toms. I've seen some guys using the 19s as well since we came out with those, but the 14s are probably the most common that I personally sell to drummers. So I'd be curious to see what you think. Maybe go grab the ones in the other room and take them off the ceiling and just put them in here for a day and play around a little bit.
And we've got a couple extras actually laying around.
Cool.
I'll put up there.
And then what's this one?
So this is, I call it like a front of kit kind of, and I run that through the MPX to give it a little bit of color, saturation, sometimes some distortion, just whatever. And it just adds some grit to the kit whenever I want it. And sometimes I mute it, sometimes I never use it, and sometimes whenever it needs that little extra, just something that it's missing, it's great for that.
And then what about kick? You got kick out and kick in?
So got a kick in, kick out, and this is not in position, but the Beta 52 on the end, and this sub kick, I actually will pull out a little bit, and I learned this from a engineer that came in here one time and taught me a few things that were very interesting, and actually pull it out a little bit because it's such a low frequency. This gives it more time for the wave to actually develop, the physical wave to actually develop. And now you got to phase it in Pro Tools most of the time, but it gives it time to actually capture that.
Are you actually like measuring?
Wave. No,
Or you just
I'm
eyeball
not.
it?
I'm placing it and then phasing it in Pro Tools.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have Pro Tools available, then yes, I would have to actually measure it out.
I gotta ask, does Lee ever play the drums?
He does. So he will come in and whenever if he's hearing something like a loop or a just a groove of some sort, he'll come in and play it. And
then when it's time to go, he calls Donnie Marple.
Yeah, and has a drummer come in and play that what he's hearing. But sometimes too, we'll take what he's playing and just chop it up in Pro Tools and time it out. And but yeah, he definitely sits down and plays the kit.
So I got to ask, right behind your head here, I'm seeing our 251 mic that's set up, looks like, for vocals. So, so is this a go-to mic for Lee? Has this just been used here and there? Like, tell us what it's been used on.
Well, I have 3 mics that I like to switch back and forth on, 3 or 4 different mics that I like to switch back and forth on. It's definitely a go-to. And everything offers a little something different. Yeah. It just depends what sounds good on them.
Definitely. Curious what preamp you run this through. So I personally like it through a Neve style or our 73, which I saw you had a 73 Q in there. When do you? I don't know. Are you like a big preamp guy? I really am, because I think. Sorry, I'm asking you questions and I'm talking, but
no.
But like this mic has really good top end, right? Mm-hmm. But you run it through a Neve style pre, it rolls it off in just the right way where it's like, wow, open, big, wide, crisp, but not too crispy because of the pre. So do you think about that a lot, or are you just like, no, I use my desk. My desk's pre's just kind of make everything smooth and it just works?
No, it's A little bit of both. Sometimes it's just whatever preamp's available, after everything else is done. Sometimes that's how it goes. But I was just working with a group with a female and a male vocalist, and he was singing harmony, and it needed, it obviously needed some personality, but it was not it was not supposed to be the front vocal. It needed just a lot of that thickness and that openness, like you said. And actually, I did run this through the WA-73 and the WA-1B. That got a very smooth, thick sound on his vocal.
Well, I gotta say, I'm impressed when you are in there and you look into here. You really sort of only see this part of this room, and then you can tell there's a little bit of an ISO booth here. But I did not realize there's a whole nother room back there. I did not realize there's a whole nother booth there, a whole nother one there. So this is like much bigger than you lead on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a grand piano in there.
Yeah.
That is cool.
And there's an upright bass.
Yeah.
Can we peek in
So,
there?
yeah, absolutely. This is the piano room. Got a Steinway. And I have the WA-67s on the piano. I have zero complaints about the sounds I get on the piano, so that's a perfect thing. But I also get the rooms. You can see here too, like it's a good sounding room. 47 Juniors on as the rooms, and they're just mounted. They're always up there, and it gives. And it's one of those things where I'm always recording it. Sometimes I mute it. Sometimes it's perfect. And but it's a really good sounding room.
I like that you do that. If you think about like recordings long ago, that's kind of how they did it. They just put a mic in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, the bass is a little too loud. Can you back up away from the mic, right? And we kind of get so far away from that because we have all these tracks and all these mics.
And
You're
Pro
right,
Tools.
like you can just put one mic up and just kind of get a vibe. Like, I don't know. I think I get it. We need all the mics to get a modern recording and the way people expect to hear it. But sometimes when you're just writing,
Yeah.
you just need a mic. You
I've-
don't need lots of mics.
I've been getting some really good acoustic recordings just by putting the mic a few feet off, one mic a few feet off, just in front of the guitar. And it's been like, it just, without having to do work to set it in the mix, it just sits there. It already just right off the bat sits in the mix. So it's a really cool. Yeah, but that's always the best engineers always say, like you start from the source first. Like you don't try to fix it in Pro Tools first. You start at the source and then work your way to Pro Tools.
Yeah, somebody done told you a lie. I've been crying over you.
After sessions, we like to get everybody to come in and sign the wall. So we have some fun signatures here. Artists, musicians, everybody. But it'd be awesome if you guys sign the wall.
Oh, no.
Please.
We haven't recorded here,
Your gear has been used on every single recording in this place. So
Man,
I think
you
you
go
guys
first.
should find a place and sign it.
So,
All I see when I close my eyes is taillights fading away in the Georgia sky. Crying on the pillow where you used to lay your head. I'ma cry myself to sleep tonight. Who says a man don't cry?
okay, what is this big building right here?
So this is the garage.
Wow.
This is where Lee keeps his more expensive toys. But
Love it.
and we actually, you can see the mics here. Use this as an echo chamber as well.
Really?
Yes. I'll run it. Eventually, we're gonna build through the walls, run some cabling through the walls. But as of now, I just run around and through the window.
This is huge.
Yeah.
I really want to get a Camaro.
Yeah.
I've been trying to convince my husband to let us
Oh, you should
do
get that one, right?
Does Lee ever drive that?
Oh, yeah.
He does?
Oh, yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, quite often actually.
Is it a stick?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's very original. Like I mean, I think there's a few modern parts on it, but it's very original. Now, how much of that I don't know. I'm not a car guy, but I do know that that's a big part of it. And I mean, same thing with this big truck here. And he actually has. It's around. I have to show you. It's on the side, but he has a real Humvee, like a like a military Humvee. And he has a Bigfoot, a monster truck. That's in the shop. That's in the shop right now. But
Lee
it
Brice
was.
has a monster truck.
Yeah. It's
so cool.
It's in the shop, but.
Okay. Dang. That's awesome.
Crying in my bed, crying on the pillow where you used to lay your head. I'ma cry myself to sleep tonight. Who says a man don't cry?
Hey Lee, what's up? Aubrey Young here from Warm Audio. I wanted to just throw you some big love, man, because you let us come out there and check out your studio in Nashville, Tennessee, and to see so much of our Warm Audio gear all over the place was just, it was amazing. So thank you so much for your support. I gotta admit though, the biggest inspiration that I took from your place was checking out your '68 Camaro. So much so that I went and bought, well, 650 horses of my own. So next time you're in town, pull up and I'll take you for a ride.
Who says a man don't cry? Yeah, somebody done told you a lie. I've been crying over you all night. Who says a man don't cry?